welcome everyone to the last of these initial games in our Season 37 Second Chance competition. These three contestants each thought they had played their one and only game with us here on Jeopardy! But today they're back and vying for that all-important third spot in our two-day Second Chance final that begins tomorrow. We already know that the winner of today's game will be playing against Jelana Cotter and Michal Gould. What we don't know is will that winner be named Barb, Mark, or Allison? Good luck to all three of you. Let's get to work in the Jeopardy round. Here are your categories. First up, some law and order. Then we have Brad to the bone, a Soviet Union, funeral officiants, tricky questions, and finally, mixed nuts. Barb, where do we start?
Mixed nuts for 800, please.
Used in baklava and ice cream, Iota chips. Barb.
What are walnuts?
No, I'm sorry. Allison.
What are pistachios?
That's the mixed nut there.
A Soviet Union for 400.
No Russian wedding would be complete without a babushka. Literally, this relation. Barb.
What is a grandmother?
Yes.
Brad to the bone for 600, please.
In 2017, this Brad status was executive producer rather than leading man of Brad status. Brad Pitt. Barb?
Another Brad, 800, please.
Back to Brad. Brad Bird was totally super as he wrote, directed, and won an Oscar for this 2004 Pixar film. Barb.
What is The Incredibles?
Right.
Brad for 1,000, please.
Beginning in 1971, Brad Whitford played guitar for this band, but that dude does not look like a lady. Barb.
Who is Aerosmith?
Correct.
All right, Brad for 400, please.
From 1999 to 2006, Bradley Whitford worked in the White House as Josh Lyman on this drama. Mark.
What is the West Wing?
You're right.
Soviet Union, 600, please.
Marriage registry took place at a Zog's office, many fitted with a bust of this man. Allison.
Who is Lenin?
That's him.
Soviet Union, 800.
Friends of Soviet grooms have been known to playfully make him pay one of these, something usually given to get a kidnap victim back. Barb.
What is a ransom?
Right.
Funeral officiants for 600, please.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, who presided over this royal's 2002 service, was the 9th in her long life. Barb.
Who's Queen Elizabeth II's funeral?
No. Allison.
Who is the... Diana?
It is not Diana. Mark? It was actually Elizabeth the Queen Mother who died in 2002. Back to you, Barb.
800 funeral officiants, please.
This Arizona senator's public send-off in 1998 was presided over by Reverend Carlozzi and Rabbi Plotkin. Mark.
Who's Goldwater?
Right.
Soviet Union, 1,000, please.
After the communists came into power in 1917, this party of theirs ratified a Code of Marriage, the Family, and Guardianship. Mark.
What is the Reds?
Oh, too much time. Barbara Allison? Barb.
Who are the Bolsheviks?
Yes, Bolsheviks. Or Reds.
All right, funeral officiants for 1,000, please.
Ralph Abernathy conducted his friend Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral service at this church. That was Dr. King's own church, Ebenezer Baptist Church. Barb?
Law and order for 600, please.
Glenn Close knew their monies awarded to a litigant for loss or injury. Allison?
What are damages?
Yeah.
Law and order for 4.
This term for the termination of a proceeding without a verdict sounds like the end of a school class. Allison?
What's recess?
I'm sorry, no. Mark?
What's dismissal?
That's the term.
Law and Order, 800, please.
This other A word is an accomplice or abettor in a crime, but is not there when it's committed. Mark?
What's an accessory?
Yes, before or after the fact. That's correct, taking you to $1,400. Our contestants are each off and running, and we're going to take a quick break now, but we'll come right back. Stay tuned. Allison Pistorius is an actor and assistant professor from Houston. Before we chat, Allison, I have to be the bearer of bad tidings. Our judges looked at the tape, and it turns out you said pistachios, plural, in the mixed nuts category. That's an anagram category. We had to have the precise letters, so we're going to have to take that correct response away from your score. Allison, on a happier note, tell us about getting the call to come back on Jeopardy for Second Chance.
I was ecstatic. I played, phone tag with the person who was calling for a couple of days, and when I finally got the call, I was excited and elated, and then I had to look at my husband and figure out who would help him take care of our 4 almost 5-year-old triplet daughters while I'm gone.
You've got triplets at home.
I do.
How do you think he's doing right now with the
I saw a picture of my house last night, and I have a lot of cleaning up to do when I get home.
Say no more. Mark Lucas is a strategist from Redondo Beach, California. What about you? Did you hear from friends when you got invited back on for Jeopardy! Second Chance?
Yeah, so I got into a doctoral program at USC last summer, and my family was ecstatic. And when I told the family that I could tell that they were coming here, it was next level. But clearly the best was when I told my son. He jumped up and down for a while, and then he kind of stopped and seriously grabbed me by the back of the head and put his forehead against mine and said, "I love you so much, dude. You got this."
Wow. That's a nice moment. That's great. And congrats about the doctoral program.
Thank you.
I'm excited even
We'll
if
see.
your family wasn't.
I have a dissertation to write. We'll see how it goes.
Barb Fecteau is a high school librarian from Beverly, Massachusetts. What did your students think about you coming back on Jeopardy?
So there's this one student, Pete, and his classroom is right across the hall from the library, and he loves Jeopardy, and he loves Matamodio, and he would greet me every morning with, "Ms. Becto, how did it feel to lose to Jeopardy champion Matamodio?" And at first I was like, well, it's not whether you win or lose, how you play the game. Eventually I was like, Pete, I have some regrets. But he kept saying, they're going to call you back, they're going to call you back, and he was right. So thanks for believing in me, Pete.
Well, Matt is not here today as a special guest, so I don't know if Pete's going to be happy or not, but you seem relieved.
Yes.
Mark, you have control of the board. Let's get back into the game.
Let's do Law and Order 1000, please.
In order to get a more objective trial, ask for a change of this to seek to have a case heard in a new jurisdiction. Mark.
What's venue?
Right.
Law and Order 200, please.
Punishable by fine or imprisonment of 1 year or less. They're much more common than felonies in many states. Mark.
Or misdemeanors.
Good.
Tricky questions 200.
Let's see how this goes. Total cubic feet of earth in a hole 1 yard wide, 1 yard long, and 1 yard deep. Barb.
There is no earth in that hole. What is there is no earth in that hole?
Correct. No dirt at all.
Healthy bowls with whole ingredients are my go-to.
Hole. Go again.
Tricky questions for 600.
If the vice president and the speaker of the House were to die, the person in this post would be president. Allison.
What's the president?
Correct. He didn't die. Or she.
Tricky questions for 4.
If you're running in a race and overtake the person in second place, you're now in this position. Mark.
What's second place?
Yes, second place.
Tricky 800.
Of Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney, or Colin Clive, the one who played the title role in the 1931 film Frankenstein. Barb.
None of them, because Frankenstein is the doctor, not the monster.
Sorry, that's not correct. Marker Allison? You were halfway there, Barb. Karloff is the monster, of course, but Colin Clive plays the title character, the doctor. Back to you, Mark.
Tricky questions 1000.
I told you they were going to be tricky. The brother-in-law of your mother's unmarried only sibling, is this relative to you? Barb.
No relative. What is no relative?
Sorry, no. Marker Allison? That would be your aunt or uncle's brother-in-law or your father or stepfather. Back to you, Mark. No more of those, I'm afraid.
Soviet Union 200.
In many U.S. states, one of these signs a marriage license. Soviets had 2, mostly a best man and maid of honor, often wearing red sashes. Mark.
What's a witness?
Good.
Brad to the Bone 200.
Brad Garrett played Robert Barone from 1996 to 2005. But when it came to the sitcom's title, Everybody Loves Him. Mark.
Who's Raymond?
Correct.
Funeral officiants 200.
Joseph Hopkins Twitchell, this man's tramp abroad traveling companion, spoke at his funeral service. Barb.
Who is Twain?
Yes.
Funeral officiants 400, please.
Answer there. Daily double. What will you risk, Barb?
Let's make it a true daily double, Ken.
Betting it all on funeral officiants. Here's your clue. In April 2005, Joseph Ratzinger